Hi everyone. I am live. At least I hope I am. Sorry I'm a little late. I had some technical difficulties trying to go through my Zoom. My Zoom just didn't want to work today. So here I am. I'm live on the Facebook group itself. And we are talking about strategies to manage your weight loss today. Really, it's something that I know a lot of people struggle with. I am right there with you. I am, very much in the same boat as a lot of people. And these strategies that I'm going to lay out for you, there's quite a few of them. You don't have to have a piece of paper or a pen or anything close at hand. I mean, you can write them down if you want, and that would be perfectly fine. But I do have a printable PDF that you can download of all my tips. I think in total there's about 35. So take advantage of that and look at them. I've also included, I have 5 pillars with regards to weight loss and strategies to really help you maintain a lifestyle, a lifelong change as far as your weight and health goes. When I say weight loss and I say health, I say them interchangeably only because, and I mean them interchangeably, kind of the same thing is because when you actually begin to lose weight and incorporate new lifestyle techniques as far as eating and exercise and mindset and all these different things, when you start incorporating that, you not only lose weight, losing weight is only half of the battle, or it's even just a small side effect of actually eating properly. You get the enormous amount and satisfaction of increased health. You get disease prevention and all these wonderful side effects and they're actually just symptoms of eating properly and exercising and getting enough sleep and all these different things. These are just side effects of that whole process. So you can put in whatever it is that you are looking to achieve. You can put that in as weight loss, balance of blood sugars, decreased inflammation, decreased hormonal responses, so the mood swings, the not sleeping well, the decreased energy. For my lovely sisters that are out there going through menopause right now, I'm right there with you, perimenopausal, and the symptoms are there. The symptoms are just, they make you want to pull your hair out sometimes, but they're there. And with proper eating and, some really conscious effort and really implementing some changes, even small ones on a, over a short amount of time or, over a long period of time, implementing the changes one at a time, will really make a big difference on all those symptoms. And they are just symptoms. They're not foci of themselves. They are a result of not eating healthy. They are a result of not exercising. They are a result of having a negative or a negative mindset. So a lot of these symptoms will potentially go away once you bring in the proper eating, the proper exercise for you, and the proper mentality and the stress release and all these different wonderful things. That's the basis of pretty much everything that I try to offer for you guys. So really, when we're looking at strategies to manage your weight loss, it's typically very much, again, a symptom of or strategies towards keeping that. So, I mean, a lot of times we go through this yo-yo dieting mentality as well. So there's a lot of diets out there, or eating plans or nutritional plans that actually work. And I'm not going to debunk them by any means, because there's no one plan for every body. Everybody is going to have a different kind of way of eating, and everybody's going to have a different kind of success on different kinds of programs. My situation is, and my kind of argument with the whole situation with diets and yo-yo dieting is a simple fact, and you know, like I said, they work in the meantime, but the thing is, you have to be on them for a long time. You have to be on them for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you will just gain the weight back. You know, and it could be just, you know, your eating habits, or it could be just the simple fact if you've done like a 60-day keto, a nutritional ketogenic kind of diet. As soon as you start eating carbs, even in the least, your weight is going to go up. So, but I mean, these people that have worked really hard and lost 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds, and then all of a sudden, you know, they get to their goal weight and life is just, oh, that feeling is just there. And then all of a sudden they find themselves 2 years later, right back where they started, and then with added weight on top of that, which is very, very sad. It is a sad situation, and something that I really am trying to help my clients get beyond that. So, I mean, for something like that, that's kind of a twofold situation. And it's basically the whole basis of what I do is bringing in a nutritional eating system for people. So my BIT program, that's the Bodies in Transformation Nutritional Systems program. Plus there's another component, and that's the eating psychology component towards it. And they're really looking at the mindset, why you eat the way you eat. It actually looks at the person behind the food. So it actually doesn't have so much to do with food as much as it does the person that's eating it. I'm not going to dive too much into that today, but it does play a big part. And I think that the two parts, the BIT program and the Eater's Mind program that I have, when put together, that makes the, you know, the solution. That's the major solution to a lot of our problems with regards to maintaining a lifelong weight loss management in our lives. So I'm going to go through again these strategies, and these are tips that you can implement today. So they are very easy, very, very small, but very powerful tools that you can use starting this afternoon with regards to your eating habits that you're going on right now. And then, you know, just see any of them that resonate with you and implement some more over time, so you can really begin to have a really big tool belt full of tools, is what I like to call it, of strategies to help manage your weight. So, you know, like I said, with the program that I have, the Eater's Mind, losing weight, a lot of times it's a way, we have to really change our way of thinking. Weight management is definitely a lifestyle change. It's not something that's going to happen in the short term, because if it does, more than likely it comes back again, and we get that yo-yo effect of dieting, which is so hard on the body. Short-term diets, like I said, again, you will lose the weight, but it's not done in a healthy way, and it's not done for the long term. So you really want to have a strategy to put in place and tools in your tool belt, and look beyond the food itself, because it's not so much the food, but the eater. To be successful, you have to be aware of the role that eating plays in your life, as well as learning how to use positive thinking and behavioral coping strategies as well to manage the eating and your weight. So I've got a list, like I said, about 35 tips here that are going to help you really, you know, bring some lasting changes. So give me a second here. I'm just going to pull them up to make sure I've got them all for you. Computer is slow today, of course. You know, the days that I have to come on. Those are the days that the computer's slow. Okay, baby, let's get going. Sorry. So let me ask you, really, while I'm waiting for this to pop up, let me ask you, what do your current eating habits help you manage? That's a bit of a, a thought-provoking kind of question that you might want to, implement and ask yourself about. What consequences do your current eating habits have on your health? Can you think of something that your current eating habits are bringing into your life that are potentially are not as good as they should be? What consequences have your current eating habits made on your mood or your thoughts or your feelings? That one sometimes, unless you're really aware of what's going on with your body and your feelings and different things like that, sometimes it can be very hard to distinguish what exactly is going on. So you have to really start being very mindful, listening, being a witness to what's going on. I'll give you an example. I am addicted to sugar, I have to admit. It is one of my go-tos. Currently, well, within the last couple of weeks, I've had some pretty stressful situations going on in my life. Not necessarily so much my life, but in and around within my life. My father-in-law passed away. So as much as, yes, that affects me, it's affecting my husband greatly. So I am looking after him, if so to say. But in that, I'm finding that I'm really craving and going towards sugary foods quite a bit more. And that, in turn, is making my mood very negative. And I was talking about that with my son just a little bit earlier this morning, and I was saying everything that's coming out of my mouth these days, except for when I talk to you guys, is very negative. And I'm just becoming very aware of that and just trying to figure out if there's a correlation with that, with the foods that I'm eating, the sugars that I'm taking in, because when I take in too much sugars, I don't sleep very well. And when I don't sleep very well, I get very cranky. And when I get very cranky, everything has a tendency to have a negative appeal to it towards me at this point. I'm not doing anybody any good. And I'm the type of person that helps people. So I have to be very aware of that and very conscious of that and really curb my own cravings to have something, because in the long run, I'm not helping anybody, especially myself. Okay, so next question. What consequences have your current eating habits had on your social life or relationships? The weather has been getting really nice out lately, so that horrible long winter we had, where we tend to pack on a few more pounds, where we hibernate, where we eat a lot of carbs and we just sit around and we don't do too much. How is that long winter and perhaps some weight gain actually affected the way you're socializing? And right now, with this warm weather, we want to pull out the summer clothes. I know few of my clothes are not fitting very well right now. And it is actually deterring me from going to functions, going outside, enjoying the weather. I'm still hibernating because my clothes are not fitting me as quite as nicely as I want to. Yeah. Is extra weight gain affecting a relationship with a spouse or a partner? Sometimes that can be very detrimental, and I mean, I'm not going to get into that a great deal today, but it is something that's very valid and very close to the heart and deep. If a lot of people don't talk about it, but it is still there, it doesn't mean it's not there. So what consequences have your current eating habits had on your job or school life? So you know, sometimes we have more physical jobs and we need to have that energy. Um, but not being able to, you know, if you're eating nothing but junk food and living off of coffee and donuts, you don't have the energy or the stamina. And that can come back to relationships as well. I mean, I know a lot of women, especially all my sisters that are going through and in a certain age group like myself, we have grandchildren. Are we able to get down on the ground and enjoy time with our babies? Our grandbabies, are we able to, you know, get back up without aches and pains and regrets for sitting on the floor for 3 hours? Are we able to chase them around the backyard? Are we able to, you know, jump into the garden with them and teach them and go for a walk in this beautiful weather and keep up with all their energy? Are we able to do that? You know, is a valid question. In what ways is your life or could your life improve if you change your eating habits? This is a pretty important one. So if you just take a moment and you close your eyes, just take a deep breath and release it. And just bring to vision in your mind's eye what your life would look like if you changed your eating habits. How would your life improve? What would it look like? What clothes would you wear? What activities would you be participating in? Just feel that for a moment. And now think about what you want your life to be. Free of aches and pains, free of decreased energy, free to be able to eat anything you want without stressing, without worrying, without feeling guilty, without being negative to yourself. How does that feel? Now I just want you to think and I want you to ask yourself, how would you be different if food and body image didn't consume you? What kind of time and energy would you free up for yourself if that was kind of the last thing that you had to think about? If it was not gnawing at you 24/7, if it wasn't the thing that was on your brain the last thing before you go to bed and the thing that's on your mind first thing in the morning, how would your life be different? What would you do with your time? Where would you put your energy? These are all really deep, questions that I really hope that you can ask yourself. So we will get started on a few of the tips. Now, like I said, I think I have about 35 of them. And they are little changes, but they will make a big impact on your overall life. Okay. Now, you don't have to do them all at once. I mean, it would be a little unrealistic to expect somebody to incorporate all of these strategies all at once, but take a few. Like I said, go and get the downloadable PDF for it and take a few and just really, implement them right away. So the first one would be eating a high protein breakfast. Now, I know a lot of you are on this big thing with intermittent fasting right now. So that's perfectly fine. If you're intermittent fasting, I have no qualms with that whatsoever. That's your choice. I just hope you're doing it properly and you're doing it with supervision or guidance from a professional. So the first thing that you eat, whenever it be first thing in the morning or when you break your fast, make sure it's a high protein breaking of fast. You want to have that sustainability for and that energy that you need for the rest of the day. Tip number 2, avoiding sugary drinks and fruit drinks. They do nothing for you, even fruit juices. Juicing, that's a totally different conversation altogether. Even when somebody is juicing, I would hope that they would understand that when you have a beautiful, bright apple and you juice, say, 6 of them, that sugar that's in an apple will be concentrated beyond belief. And I mean, it tastes phenomenal to have fresh apple juice or fresh orange juice or fresh all these juices. The thing is, the sugar content is so incredibly high and you're getting so many empty calories from it. When you take in an apple by itself, you're taking in the sugar as well, but the thing is, you're also taking in the fiber, you're also taking in the vitamins, you're also taking in all the other good things that synergistically make up a really good cocktail of nutrients for your body. So it makes a bit of a difference. When people juice, I suggest to people that they start with a really dense vegetable array and then sweeten with only 1 or 2 pieces of fruit. So all your green leafies, your cucumbers, your carrots, I haven't juiced in a while, so I can't even think, but whatever it is that you want to juice mostly vegetables, and then have the 1 or 2 fruit in it that will sweeten it up. And sugary drinks, well, again, it's the sugar. It goes straight into your bloodstream and it spikes your insulin and it does nothing for you. Yeah, you'll get a jolt of energy very quickly, but then you'll drop just as quickly as well. So your energy levels will drop as well. So avoid that as much as possible. You're going to want to drink as much water as possible, and I think I've got that twice in my charts. But yeah, bringing in about half an hour before meals, having a glass of water really helps to make you feel fuller when you're coming to meals. A lot of times we feel hungry, but the body is just telling us that it is thirsty. Dehydration sometimes shows up as hunger. So you want to be able to bring in some water into your meals or your daily routine before, and that way you won't eat as much at your meals as well. So you're going to want to eat lots of soluble fiber. So I said that a little bit with the apples and, having whole foods. The fiber, soluble fiber acts as a cleaning mechanism for your gut and everything. If you've heard me talk enough times, everything stems from the gut. So you want to keep your gut as clean as possible. You want to remove processed foods from the diet. I mean, even if you do that alone and nothing else on my list, I could kiss you. I mean, because you're going to feel fabulous. It's a little bit more work, but once you get into the hang of it, it's really fine. Your meal prepping, it's getting things prepared beforehand so you're not having to be in the kitchen 24/7. Just remove the processed foods from your diet, please. The chemicals and the nitrates and the phosphates and all these crappy stuff that's in it alone should be enough of an incentive for you to want to remove them, other than the fact that it's nutrient empty and they do nothing for you except spike blood sugars and cause you to gain weight. So from that, you're going to eat whole foods, which is another strategy. You're going to want to eat greens at least once a day. So anybody that's been, again, following me, especially in my Transform Your Health with Wendy group, we did a whole month of just green smoothies. And so I've, offered so many tips and understanding why it's so important. Kale. A lot of people don't like kale, and I'm sure you've heard so much about kale. But kale is one of those ones that's one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables out there, and one of the best ones for you. My trick with kale, and you may have heard me say this a few times again, I tend to repeat myself, is that I freeze my kale and then I put it in pretty much everything, and my family gets a little annoyed with me because I throw it in everything. Last night, I think, let's see, what did I put it in? I made a macaroni dish with, because I've got 2 vegetarians in the house and 1 meat eater. My 1 meat eater a lot of times gets a lot of vegetarian stuff. So what I made was a macaroni dish with vegetarian meat sauce and vegetarian meatballs and lots of cheese, but kind of layered it like a lasagna kind of situation. But I threw about 2 or 3 big handfuls of frozen kale into my spaghetti sauce. It doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't, and wow, this is kind of gross looking now, but this is my smoothie that I had, and it gets a couple of handfuls of kale as well. So throw it in everything. You can throw it in eggs. You can throw it in muffins, savory muffins. You can throw it in salads. You can throw it in soups. You can throw it in pretty much anything, pretty much. So I want you to, and I think I mentioned this a couple of times in my 32 points here, but I want you to eat slowly and eat mindfully. So slowing down, being thankful for the food, understanding perhaps where it came from, turning off TV and computers, have a real conversation with somebody, sitting down at a table, and getting into that old habit. I mean, I grew up that way. We always had to sit down at the table. Sometimes we get away from that and we end up going towards sitting in front of the TV and watching dinner, not really eating and thinking about what we're eating at the same time. One of the big strategies that I have in my BIT nutritional program is that everybody has to eat every 3 to 4 hours. That can be a little bit hard, and I actually find that hard myself as well. But the science behind it is that you don't want your blood sugars to drop too low, because when they drop too low, then you find yourself craving foods and just grabbing the first thing that you can see when you eat it. The other science behind that theory of every 3 to 4 hours is the fact that when your body finally gets some food, it's not going to know that it's nice, good, whole foods for you and assimilate it and metabolize it properly. It's going to hang on to it because it's going to say, jeepers, when's my next meal coming? I'm not quite sure. This person goes 12 hours without feeding me, so how am I supposed to know? So it's going to hang on to even the really good foods that you eat, thinking that it's been starving, and it's going to store it as fat. Sorry, but that's true. One of the big things, and if you were able to jump onto any of the webinars that I've been doing lately, is that I need you to eat healthy fats. I know a lot of my younger clients, they're okay with that. They have no issues with that. A lot of the people my age and older have a very hard time with that, simply because we were brainwashed severely through the 70s and 80s and even into the 90s with regards to fat as being bad. Fat does not cause you to gain weight. And actually, with recent research that I've been pulling up, fat does not even cause heart disease or cardiovascular issues. simply due to the fact, I mean, and I'm talking like saturated fats here, because a lot of people go, oh, well, no, but coconut oil is saturated fat and it's just like butter. And no, 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 please try to get that out of your head. Saturated fats are good, especially coconut oil. Coconut oil is one of the best ones for it. And it's got a compound in it called, oh goodness, I've lost the name, laninic. Anyways, I'll look for it and put it on the side. But and it's actually healthy. It really helps to help heart health. So if any kind of saturated fats that you're taking in, that would be the best one. I'm not against butter. If you know and can use the process to make ghee, that would be wonderful. You know, when your butter melts and then it separates and you've got like the fat, the solid fats and the liquidy part. I'm doing this because I'm looking at my butter container. That solid part that's on the top, you want to keep that. Get rid of the watery bit. That solid part is the ghee, and you can store that in the fridge. I know a lot of people, a few people, that will purposely melt their butter and not in the microwave. Don't do anything in the microwave. Do it in like a double boiler, like put a bowl over some boiling water. Melt your butter down. Let it harden again, and it will solidify and have the liquid on the bottom. Discard the liquid and use that ghee. And it's so good for you. It's one of those very good Ayurvedic things that they really use a lot of in Indian food and Ayurvedic health properties as well. Don't know them off the top of my head, but I just know that they do. Let's see here. So eating your healthy fats, de-stressing, you know, decrease your stress as much as possible. Walk away, say no, go to someplace quiet. It's your health. It really is. It's your choice. Getting adequate sleep, again. So whatever it takes for you to get to sleep. And I'm not talking half a bottle of gin. I'm talking perhaps a chamomile tea. I'm talking perhaps, you know, shutting down your electronics an hour before you go to bed. Perhaps reading, having a nice bath, dimming the lights a little bit before bed. Trying to stay away from sleeping aids, but something like a melatonin for the occasional time that you might be needing some help. Some people even swear by warm milk. There's constituents in warm milk. Some people even say banana is always good for that kind of stuff. I've never known a banana to help me sleep, but it does work for some people, and that's perfectly fine. So really trying to get enough sleep, you know, scheduling it in a little bit sooner than you would normally fall asleep. So if your normal time to fall asleep is 10, start at about 8:30. Give yourself about an hour, hour and a half to play with, to get quiet, to calm down, and really get in that mode of sleeping. And it really does make a big difference. With me, it is not eating sugar. Sugar really keeps me up. Sugar inflames my body to the point where I am just not like myself. I'm not able to relax properly. Not skipping meals. So this comes back perhaps to the intermittent fasting that a lot of people do, which is fine. You're not really skipping meals at that point. So just, you know, using your best judgment and not skipping the meals. And of course that ties into, you know, eating every 3 to 4 hours. Keeping track of your eating habits. Now, I know so many people like, oh my God, I have to journal. Journaling is what it is. Some people do it and love it. Some people are like, oh, they're going to make me journal. It is what it is. The scientific facts overall, generally, and of course, none of us are really generally, but generally overall, keeping track of your eating habits does work, especially if you want to lose weight. You have a visual. You have a visual of what it is that you ate. And if nothing else, it's like, wow. You look at it and you go, really? Did I eat that much? Or, oh, I'm really not eating enough. Or you could even look at it and say, oh, well, you know what? I felt really crappy after I ate that. That's probably not a good thing for me to eat. Or I noticed 4 days in a row after eating that sandwich. Was it the sandwich? Was it the gluten? Maybe it was the mayonnaise. Maybe, you know, these kind of things you can really keep an eye on when you're tracking your food habits. It's not, I think a lot of people feel that they're going to be judged when I ask them to start tracking their meals. And that's not what it's about. That's really not what it's about, my friends. It's about finding some evidence, finding some correlation, finding some issues that perhaps you don't see that are going to be helpful for myself and for you to make some positive changes. This doesn't work, so we're going to try this. It's not about judgment, and it's hopefully not something that you would look at and go, oh my God, and then be really negative on yourself too, because that's not what it's about either. It's a tool. One of the tools, just like all the other tools that I'm setting up for you here, is one of the tools to help get better. The next point is not limiting, or do limit night eating. I will admit to something. I used to get up in the middle of the night, and this was years ago when my babies were little, and get up in the middle of the night, have a one slice of white bread with peanut butter on it, and then go back to bed. It sounds really bad when I say it out loud. I don't think I've ever told anybody that before. Don't know why. Don't understand the rationale behind it, because I wasn't hungry. I think after a while it got into a habit, and my body was like, oh, it's 2 o'clock, time to get up for our peanut butter sandwich. It was interesting to try to get out of that habit, because I would still wake up about that same time, and I would wander around the house, grab a glass of water, look outside, and then I'd go back to bed. Kind of trick my body. But I mean, eating late at night is not helpful. The body slows down when it eats, and so does your digestion. So when you're eating at night before bed, and I know this is a habit for a lot of people, because even babies, they like to fall asleep with a full stomach. But understanding that babies are taking in breast milk and formula and pablum, these are very easily digested things. But when we start eating things really, really in the evening, like after supper, our digestion, again, like I said, it slows down. We're horizontal for the most part. So gravity plays a part of that as well. So for people that have indigestion or acid reflux or different things like that, or the sphincter in the top of the stomach is not as tight or as receptive as it should be, that stuff tends to come back up again, and we have issues as far as that goes. And simply just our digestion is not there. Our stomach slows down with the production of hydrochloric acid, which is needed for the breakdown of foods and blah, 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 the whole scenario, whatever. My husband alone, he likes to eat his chips after dinner, and if he eats a little bit too much, more times than not, he will have night terrors. And he knows it, and I don't know why he doesn't stop it. I'm not his mother. I'm not going to tell him. He knows it. And then he suffers from it. You know, I can hide the chips, it's all I want, but it doesn't stop him. He knows. Why doesn't he change? I don't know. This is kind of the psychology behind things that he's not willing to get into with me, but that's okay. That's his stuff. When you're finding yourself a little bit craving things, or you're in a habit of eating things at a certain time, incorporating some movement, especially if you get bored, if you're a boredom eater. So a lot of people I know are, you know, especially when we get in front of the TV in the evenings, we tend to boredom eat, or we have a craving for that crunch or something as we're watching TV, or even when we're, you know, binge watching Netflix and different things like that. So it's out of boredom, and so it's a matter of changing the energy, shifting the outlook, moving around. You know, go for a walk around the yard. You know, take the dogs out for a walk down the street. You know, dust the house, do something different, turn on some music, dance a little bit, shift that energy a little bit if you're bored, and, you know, grab a book, play Candy Crush, something like that, you know, shifts that energy, and you're not thinking about just eating for the sake of eating, or just for the sake of crunching down on something. You're going to want to delay and distract yourself as much as possible. It's funny because we're aware of it, but at the same time, it actually does trick us. It's a funny situation. And I've done it plenty of times. I mean, it's kind of hilarious because you know you're doing it to yourself, but at the same time, it actually works. It shifts that energy away from grabbing something and eating it. Again, you want to be attentive when you're eating, so no computers or TVs. Sitting at the kitchen table and watching your portion size. This is one of the big things, especially within my BIT program. I really emphasize the portion size because I'm not restricting, or I don't ask people to restrict any foods in the program, but I want them to be aware that having one piece of cake is okay, but having a quarter of the cake is not okay. You know, you're really and if you really are looking for that quarter piece of cake or a bigger piece, maybe start looking at the psychology behind it. What is it that you're trying to feed at that point? Because you certainly don't need it. There's no nutrients. There's no physiological reasons why your body needs that big of a piece of cake. There's obviously some mental things going on there that, you know, you want to address, or at least start investigating. I want you to always give yourself encouragement. So it's that whole witness of, you know, talking to yourself, encouraging yourself, even if it sounds like you're talking to yourself out loud, do it. I mean, who cares? It's your life, and it really is for your benefit. Getting away from that negative mindset of, oh man, I'm such a failure, I can't lose the weight, oh, I might as well not do it, this kind of mentality, it's just, it's done. You know, that's so 90s. Don't do it. It hurts you, and I'm here to help you. Again, being gentle with yourself, because, you know, mistakes happen. Okay, so you ended up having that quarter piece of cake. It's done. Move on. Okay? That was so 2 o'clock. We're going into 4 o'clock. Okay? It's done. Bringing yourself to that moment, you know, grab out that book. I'm looking at my bookcase. Grab the book by Eckhart Tolle, Here and Now. That was one of my go-to books, and still is. I don't even know if I have it anymore. I think I wore it out. Here and now. This is the only moment that matters right now. It's 11:52, and if you're not watching right now, then it's this time later. Getting a little complicated here, but this is the only moment that counts. Okay, what happened in the past is the past. You have the opportunity to make better choices in the future because you know better. This is why you're watching. This is why I'm giving you all this information, because you have the opportunity to make some choices because you know better now. Let's see here. Da, da, da. Understanding that this is a lifestyle change and not a diet. Okay? We get into this when we get stuck in this diet mentality that society portrays and gives us the idea that we are less than, that we are not as good as, that we have to portray ourselves as a certain type of body image, that we have to portray ourselves in a certain physical appearance that is only right if you're this big. It's only right if you are eating the right this way, or you know, and we get stuck in it, always thinking that, oh, I can't eat that piece of chocolate because then I'll end up eating the whole bar and I can't help myself. This is diet mentality, but understanding that allowing yourself a piece of chocolate is okay. And if you end up having the whole bar of chocolate, then fine, move on from it. Maybe bring that awareness to the understanding of why you needed to finish the whole bar of chocolate, why you couldn't have just one piece. You know, bringing a closer look at the why behind, not the food itself. I want you to use the scale mindfully, not as a measure of success. I want you to understand that how you feel in your body, how you feel in your clothes is more of a success measurement or metric than what the number on the scale says. And I hope that I'm specifically speaking to a couple of people. If you're listening, I really hope that you get this message that it's not about the scale, it's about how you feel in your body. Somebody that is 5'7" and 120 pounds can still have aches and pains, can still have sleepless nights, can still have mental issues about, oh my God, I can't eat that piece of chocolate, can still have you know, slow response times, can still have brain fog, can still have low energy levels. They're 120 pounds. A lot of us that are a little bit heavier weight, we think about, you know, my goodness, that would be the ideal situation. But if a person is not healthy on the inside and the person's not mentally, body image, healthy at that point also, it doesn't matter what the scale says. It doesn't matter. We all have these issues. We all have this stuff going on. We all have the physical stuff going on, and it doesn't matter what the scale says. If you feel phenomenal, you had a wonderful sleep, you're happy, you're eating good, your clothes are fitting nicely, your hair is just like on cue, and it doesn't matter what the scale says, okay? With that mentality and that way of feeling in your body, you're going to lose weight and come into what is called your weight, your proper weight ratio. So you will settle into whatever it is your body needs to be at, okay? That's a whole nother story, but I'm not going to get into that today. But just really be mindful of the scale. Yeah, go on it if you want, but not so often. And really bring that understanding that it's more than just a number, okay? Please, please, please. It's about what goes on in here. It's about what goes on in here. And it's about your clothes and how they fit and how you interact in the world. And I want you to really think about making healthy choices about 80% of the time. So we're looking at that 80-20 rule. We're human. There's good foods out there, good foods that I don't want you to not have. I don't want you not to have wine. I don't want you not to have the occasional ice cream. I want you to live your life. I want you to be happy. When you're stressing about stuff like this, that increases your cortisol levels, okay? And and even in something like intermittent fasting, cortisol and stress go hand in hand with weight gain incredibly. They're like a match made in heaven. Even, and I'll get back to this in a second, but intermittent fasting, for those of you that are doing that, for women especially, if you are intermittent fasting, I think it's beyond 15 hours, it triggers cortisol release in your body because your body's under stress. Your body's going, hey, when is this person going to eat again? I don't know what I'm going to eat. So it starts getting, even though you're not feeling stressed up here or in here or in here, your body is going, hey, I don't know what I'm going to eat next. I'm getting a little panicky. So your body's cortisol levels are increasing. And when your cortisol levels increase, it really, it really causes the body to eventually gain weight. So you don't want that to happen. You want to have your body stress-free as much as possible. You want to have your mind stress-free as possible. You want to have your heart stress-free, your guts, your solar plexus, your soul stress-free as well. So don't stress about it. Eat what you want in small portions. Have a treat every once in a while. It's all good, okay? These are really big pro tips that really need to be implementing. In my program and in my philosophy with regards to a lot of this health changes and whatnot, I have what I like to call pillars of success, and my programs are basically based on these pillars. So there's 5. The first one is an incentive. So this incentive is something that is your big why. And I'm always coming back to a lot of my clients and I'm saying, why? Why are you doing this? What is your reason behind it? And they'll give me an answer and I'll go, okay, well, why? And they'll give me another answer and they'll say, and I'll say, why? Getting right down to the deep feels in here of understanding what your incentive is, that you want to lose or shed extra weight. Another big pillar is preparation. So that encompasses meal planning and prepping, and people are rolling their eyes. I can hear them from here. The thing is, with structure, there's freedom. For anybody, and I know a lot of you have tried it, and I know it's a bit of a pain in the ass and everything else, but the structure gives you the freedom for the rest of the week to not worry about it. It gives you the structure, the freedom to not stress about what you're going to eat that night, about, you know, coming and having that mentality of all the time being nothing but thinking about food all the time. You don't have to think about it if you prepare ahead of time. Incorporating a lot of knowledge. So I believe totally knowledge equals power. When we understand that cortisol levels increasing really help or hinder our weight loss progress, if we understand that sleeping erratically really is very, makes it hard for us to lose weight. If we understand that taking in too much sugar, helps us not to sleep, and then, brings us to the point where we're not going to be losing weight. All these different things, this knowledge, there's so much information on the interweb, the Google Doctor that's out there. That's one of the reasons why I started this whole journey of mine, was to be able to bring this information to you. I want to bring the correct information to you and the most sustainable information for you. Initially, it was for myself because I wanted to learn, but knowledge is power, and it is very selfish of me to keep that power to myself because I'm a person that gives, and I need to give that to you, and I need you to have that knowledge as well. If you don't want to have that knowledge, then fine, perfectly fine. But you know, an understanding of why all of this works and why it is necessary for optimal health, and that's it in a nutshell. The fourth pillar is community and accountability. So they kind of go hand in hand. So you want to have a group of people around you. You want to have a support system. You want to have somebody to rely on. So a professional accountability for one, but you also want peers that are going to be helping you be accountable for your actions as well. You want to have buddies that are doing this with you. You want to have exercise buddies. You want to have cooking buddies. You want to have friends that are going through the same shit that you are. It's as simple as that. And then you need somebody to oversee, so that professional accountability that will call you out on the, you know, wondering why haven't you done it? And that's coming back to that why. Let's get to the bottom of this. You're here for a reason. What is that reason? Your big incentive, your why. And then bringing about a vision. So a vision of, and we did a little bit about this in the beginning where we were closing our eyes and just taking a moment and thinking about what our lives would look like when we got to where we wanted to be. You know, and holding that vision and holding, and it's my job to hold you accountable to that vision, that big why. You know, holding you and giving you the knowledge that you need to prepare and to prep, and what are the right foods for you, and you know how this is going to be more beneficial than this. Not to recommend you, not to scold you, and to actually not to give you, not allow you to do that to yourself as well. So that's another big thing. So that comes to the end of the pro tips that I have for you. And in the comments on the side, I have a link to the downloadable PDF that you can grab. Oh, I'm just looking at, I wasn't looking at myself earlier, but now I am, and I see it's rather dark. It's getting dark and rainy again. But yes, I want you to, you know, grab that PDF, make it yours, put it on the fridge, print it out, and just start implementing little pieces here and there. I am in the process of setting up a really cool program within the next couple of weeks, so the middle of July. It's a pre-course for my Eaters course, and the Eaters course is connecting the brain, body, and behavior with regards to eating, and it basically has nothing to do with food. But this minor course, or this pre-course, is just called the Eater's Mind pre-course, and it's going to be looking at ways to really cut your cravings quite a bit, and you know, helping you to forget about diets. I'm just looking at my notes here. Reversing some of the brainwashing, you know, and understanding the human behaviors and giving yourself a break a little bit, because a lot of these times it's more than just us. We are bombarded all the time with so much media that portrays us to be a certain way. So I would like to give that opportunity for a lot of you. I'm going to be sending out a lot of information in the next little while. The course is going to be about $50. It's going to be only online, and we're going to have our own little group, you know, for community and accountability. We're going to have videos for knowledge. We're going to have live Q&As for you guys that want to ask questions. A lot of you are so quiet. I don't know. And there's going to be, you know, some downloadable worksheets and different things for you to really, you know, dive in a little bit further and get to the bottom of your cravings and understanding why. And then really giving you some really strong tools to, you know, bring some positive habits into your life, and really more of a success formula with regards to your eating habits. So that's a lot. There's probably a lot more that I probably could have shared with you today. It is a big topic. So, oh boy, we're going on 1 hour. Look at that. So yeah, that's a lot again. So hopefully you'll be able to get a chance to take a look at this video a few times, maybe, and get some ideas. Download the PDF, get that information, like I said, print it out, put it on your fridge. Yeah, actually, you'll notice on the PDF itself that I have some logos for my products, my programs. One is the BIT Nutritional Program, one is the Eater's Mind, as well as a new one that's coming up this fall that I'm so excited about. It's called Rapid Rescue, and it is a metabolic stabilizing solution. It's a 6-week program. It is going to rapidly give you the results you want with regards to weight loss. So for people that may have a wedding coming up, or for people that may have imminent surgery, which I'm sorry for, I need to lose weight really quickly. For people that really want to kickstart into the winter season without gaining more weight, and really implementing some really cool strategies and tips, and like, oh, it's great. Anyways, it's a really you know, you're going to be losing probably a lot of weight on it as well. So, but I mean, it does everything else that I just said in the beginning of the video, balancing your blood sugars. It will, you know, decrease inflammation. It will decrease bloating. It'll help, you know, bring some real stability to your gut. It will do all these other things, all these symptoms that are hindering you from having your optimal health. So, okay, I'm gonna go now. If you have any questions, tag me in the post below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. And thank you so much for taking the time and listening to me. I know this is a lot longer than most of my videos, but and like I said, it's a big subject. So have a wonderful day. Take care. Oh, and happy Canada Day too. That's coming up next weekend. So I won't see you again till the 2nd of July. So have a happy holiday and safe, please. Take care.